Lucas in Brawl was pretty lacking. I'm sorry to all of the Brawl Lucas fans out there. He simply has an overall underwhelming moveset with a lack of consistent impressive tools. And that's not even mentioning what happens when he gets grabbed. He does have some neat tricks up his sleeve of Lucas having a high skill ceiling, and Lucas can shine in a doubles environment, but he simply takes way too much effort to play at a top level, which makes him one of the less effective characters in top level play, at least in a 1v1 environment. Lucas has moves. Some good but not great, some bad, and a lot that are varying degrees of mid. But out of all of his moves, there is one move he has which really keeps me up at night. Well, okay, no it doesn't, but I still find it really weird. A move which has some interesting strengths but also notable weaknesses, and that move is Lucas's down tilt. Lucas performs a quick sweep kick which deals very low horizontal knockback. The move is very fast, coming out on frame 3 and only having 13 total frames, which is really good, making it a difficult move to punish.
Faster than an electronic rabbit.
The move deals 6%, which is good for how fast it is. If you manage to land multiple down tilts in quick succession, it can build up damage very quickly, which shouldn't happen to a skilled opponent, but
we get there when we get there!
Down tilt has deceptively long range. The move looks really stubby, but it is actually significantly bigger than it looks, reaching quite far ahead of Lucas. If you look at the hitboxes, you can see these two hitboxes which already do a good job at covering Lucas, but then if I zoom out, you can see a third hitbox which is just floating in space. The back of it covers his toes, but the rest of it is just covering nothing. It's like Lucas is doing a force kick or something. It is kind of wild. This allows the move to reach deceptively far, allowing Lucas to easily use it at a distance with a lower risk of getting hit. Its range is still shorter than numerous other down tilts, but the move having a large disjoint is definitely a positive trait, which helps mitigate its shorter range compared to some other down tilts. The move is also abnormally good on shield, being only -3 on shield. In the context of Brawl, having a tilt that is only -3 on shield is kind of crazy. The move is not only safer on shield than pretty much every other tilt in the game, but is also safer than most aerials. Lucas can down tilt your shield and then he can jab to interrupt any grab attempt, which is huge as grab is an extremely potent out of shield punish in Brawl. The only attack in the entire game which can punish this move on shield is Mario's up B, and that is a non-threatening punish which only works at close range. The move is completely safe on normal shield against every other character, which is amazing for a frame 3 tilt. Most potentially safe tilts need to be spaced in order to be safe on shield, but Lucas can use his down tilt at point blank range and still be completely safe. There are some characters who can punish the move on power shield, but even then, the characters that can punish you can only hit you with a very quick jab, tilt, or special, and most of those punishes aren't particularly threatening. I said most. And once again, you can space the move in order to prevent some of these punishes, making life even easier for Lucas. Now that I've gone over the basics, it's now time to look at what happens when you hit the move, and this is where the weirdness gets cranked up to 11. One positive about the move is that it has a low hit lag and SDI multiplier, which makes SDI less effective against this move compared to many other attacks. The move can still be SDI, but the opponent can only get one SDI input and they don't go too far, so the move is less vulnerable to SDI than many other down tilts. The low hit lag is also why the move is as safe on shield as it is, since the shielding opponent has a lot more hit lag than Lucas does. But down tilt has a problem. You see, down tilt doesn't actually combo into itself at lower percents. The move does not even give a frame advantage at lower percents.
So how much advantage on hit do you get?
At 0%, it is -7 on hit. Yep. It is -7 on hit. The move is more unsafe on hit at lower percents than it is on shield.
That is utterly ridiculous.
Basically, every character in the game can punish the move on hit at the lowest percents in one way or another, with some characters even getting smash attack punishes, which is not fun for Lucas. If the opponent predicts that Lucas will go for an attack afterwards, they can go for something even greedier, and that can potentially go very badly for Lucas. Remember that grab does not even punish down tilt jab on shield. And I'm going to answer the question I know you're going to ask.
Yes.
Down tilt's knockback does scale, albeit very slowly. Down tilt does not become as safe on hit as on shield until the opponent is somewhere between 62 to 83% depending on the matchup. And even then you'd still rather get hit because it is easier to punish after getting hit compared to power shielding. The move doesn't become neutral on hit until the opponent is well into the 100s. Down tilt does not properly combo into itself until your opponent is in the very late 100s or even the 200s for heavier characters. Although you can combo down tilt into jab around 15 to 20% earlier than this. By the time down tilt can actually combo into itself, even Lucas's weaker moves are more than strong enough to KO the opponent. So there is a pretty high chance that the opponent will get KO'd before you can even get to these percents. If you are a more experienced Smash player, you probably want to tell me that sure, down tilt might be unsafe on hit on paper, but the move is so fast that no human can punish the move on reaction. And you are correct. The move is so lightning fast that not even an experienced opponent can punish the move on reaction, so you can very easily get away with throwing out a down tilt and even going for a mix-up. But the fact that this move is unsafe on hit will certainly deter you from spamming down tilts too much. Because while you can probably get away with one down tilt, you will not be able to get away with too many consecutive down tilts against a savvy opponent, so you absolutely have to use down tilt carefully. One more thing before I move on. If you hit a crouching opponent with a down tilt, the move becomes 1 frame worse on hit. This is an extremely rare case where crouch cancelling is actually the optimal counterplay against a move in Brawl, adding on to the bizarre quirks this move has. There is another thing which can happen when landing down tilt, which is actually very beneficial. Down tilt has a 40% tripping chance, and if the opponent trips, Lucas gets a big advantage. You can land all of his smash attacks guaranteed after a trip, and that is huge compared to him being unsafe on hit. Lucas may have to run in depending on spacing, the matchup and percent, and smash attack follow-ups might not even be possible depending on the scenario. But this is a strong trait down tilt has which can help a ton if Lucas gets lucky. But there is a sizable restriction with tripping in that for some reason, the only hitbox which trips is the force kick hitbox. If Lucas actually kicks you with his foot, the move can just never trip whatsoever, at least at realistic percents. You have to land the move as a disjoint in order to trip the opponent. This is strange because most tripping moves in Brawl can trip regardless of range, but the same cannot be said for Lucas's down tilt. If you land the move at close range, you are literally just throwing out an extremely weak minus on hit attack. The opponent will get hit by the move and think to themselves,
"Oh no. Anyway, last week."
If you land the move at range, however, that might still happen, but you might get a lucky trip. This naturally makes it much better to space down to, as it not only makes it harder or even impossible for the opponent to punish if the move doesn't trip, it also allows the move to trip, which can lead to follow-ups. Speaking of which, the problem with the far hitbox being the only one which can trip is that when you space the move, the opponent is naturally going to be further away after they trip, which restricts your follow-ups. Your smash attack follow-ups especially become more complex and limited from far range, which is not ideal at all. Since down tilt is so fast, you can't instantly react to the opponent tripping, so if you want to do your strongest follow-ups, you have to predict that your opponent will trip, and that is a huge risk. You absolutely do not want your opponent to shield your smash attack attempts if they don't trip. This will incentivize a Lucas player to go for a more reliable and reactable follow-up, such as grabbing, and while Lucas's throws are quite strong, they are not as powerful as his smash attacks. There is one area where this move really shines, however, and that is its ability to lock floored opponents. The move's quick speed, low knockback, and high damage for its speed make it really powerful as a locking tool, even at higher percents. It builds up a good amount of damage per hit, and it drags the opponent across the stage very slowly, helped even more by SDI being weak against the move. The damage potential is absolutely massive, and if Lucas gets the ability to lock the opponent in the right position,
Are dead, dead, dead. You are dead, dead, dead.
it is one of the deadliest locking tools in the game due to the move's speed and properties, but there are 2 caveats. 1. Lucas does not have the best way to set up a knockdown for a lock. He can do down air into down tilt at high enough percents, but that is unreliable, avoidable, and it can be teched. He has a couple of untechable setups, but they are matchup and stage specific, which require the opponent to be in very specific spots in order for the setups to actually work. 2. At lower percents, the lock doesn't even work. Let me explain. Down tilt is so weak that at lower percents, it does not cause the regular locking animation for floored opponents. It instead causes a much shorter animation which allows the opponent to get up much sooner. It is closer to a jab reset in Melee. This animation is so fast that Lucas can't actually chain his down tilts together, so he only gets a single down tilt. He still has enough time to get an up smash after a down tilt, but he cannot chain down tilts together, so the damage potential is much, much lower. Lucas can also lock with F tilt at very low percents, which is stronger stronger and locks properly, so that may very well be the preferred punish depending on the scenario. So while down tilt is a fantastic locking tool once it is strong enough to properly lock opponents, it is far less powerful if your opponent is at a low enough percent. I still have one more thing to say. I actually lied. Lucas can actually chain down tilts against a flawed opponent at lower percents, if the opponent is Mario.
Why does it only work on Mario?
Well, it's clearly a trade-off for Mario being the only character who can punish Lucas down tilt on shield. In all seriousness though, Mario's fast floor reset animation is 1 frame longer than every other character, which gives Lucas just enough time to chain his down tilts. But here's the insane part. This only works if Mario lands facing down into the floor. If Mario lands facing up, his fast reset animation is the same length as other characters, so the down tilt chain doesn't work. So let me get this straight. You can lock opponents with multiple down tilts, but it doesn't work at low enough percents, except in one matchup where it can work at lower percents, but only if you get a specific knockdown? Yep, that is how the move works.
This is so bizarre!
So, down tilt has a lot of strange properties. And Lucas has 2 moves which outclass down tilt in a majority of situations. Jab is 1 frame faster and stronger, although it has less range. And forward tilt is slower, but it is much stronger and it has more range. This means that jab is a better close range tool and F tilt is a better long range tool, limiting down tilt's utility. There are situations, however, where jab is too short and F tilt is too slow, and this is where down tilt can come in clutch. You can hit the opponent or at least trade with them, and you might even get a trip for a bigger reward if you are lucky. Down tilt is safer on shield than jab and F tilt, and it is extremely unlikely that you'll be punished on hit, especially since you'll be spacing down tilt, so it can be a decent option if you don't think jab or F tilt will work. The main use for down tilt, however, where it really shines is as a locking tool. I've already gone over why it is so good as a locking tool, so all I'll say is that if Lucas gets the chance to properly lock you with this move, it's most likely Jova. You can even use down tilt itself to set up an untechable knockdown into a lock in specific situations, which is also really nice. It's just a shame that Lucas will have so few opportunities to actually use down tilt for this purpose against a strong opponent. There are 2 other situations I can think of where down tilt can be useful. The first is as a cheesy edge guarding option which can catch a recovering opponent off guard. The second is using it to hit an opponent who is about to jump, forcing the opponent into a landing, or at the very least making it extremely difficult for them to avoid a landing. This usually isn't anything too crazy, but long-time viewers of this channel can probably guess where this is going. RCOKO confirms. Overall, Lucas's down tilt is really weird. It is a really fast tilt with deceptive range and surprisingly high damage for its speed, which are the least strange things about the move. The move is completely safe on shield in terms of frame data, which is rare in Brawl, especially for a ground move. But on the flip side, it is a move that can be more unsafe on hit than on shield, which is extremely rare in Brawl. The move can trip, but only at specific ranges, and the move is so weak that it cannot properly lock opponents at lower percents. With the exception of Mario when he's specifically facing down, because his floor animation when facing down is 1 frame longer than every other floor reset. Hopefully you can finally see why I think this move is so strange. It is an extremely unorthodox move with a ton of oddities compared to other moves in the game. Is this move good or bad?
I don't know.
It is a move with notable good traits, but also notable bad traits. Its good traits are really good, but the reward for landing the move is simply too low most of the time, and it is often outclassed by 2 other moves in Lucas's kit. It is the kind of move which experienced players would only use in situations where they know it will be worth using, which is not often at all. I don't think this move is horrendously designed or anything, but I definitely think you-know-who made some odd decisions. It is the kind of move where a few tweaks could either make it way too good or way too bad, and what we ended up getting was an extremely weird middling move.
Thanks for watching,
guys.
just smash the like button, comment and subscribe.